Well, now that we know how to read from the database or the Mongo database itself, we want to take a look at how can I update a collection or a document, I should say, inside of the MongoDB. To do that, we're going to go to our case of view for the update, and we're going to add a new method here. We're going to call it MongoDB underscore update. And we're going to go down to the bottom of our file where we put our Mongo read and add the method here. From here, we're going to ask the user who we would like to update and ask for a new high score, very similar to what we've done in the previous exercises above. Then we're going to create a Mongo client to connect to, grab the database. We're going to get the collection of high scores. With the collection, we're going to find just one element, and then we're going to update that one specific element inside of the collection. Okay, that one specific document. So the first thing we're going to do is ask the user who we would like to update. So we'll first pose that question. And we'll read that in. The next thing we'll do is we'll ask for a new high score. And we'll store that in an int in the similar way that we've done this before, where we'll double check to see the score being entered if it is a valid score. Now, moving forward from there, what we would like to do is we want to grab a Mongo client connection, and we'll need to use the same connection string that we used in the read. From here, we're going to grab the database like we've done in the previous exercise. var db will equal the client get database. Make sure that our database is the correct name. And now that we have the database itself, we want to, this time we want to get one specific high score, right? So we're going to say that var high score, just one object, not a collection, just one. We're going to ask the DB to get a collection, and we need to use high score. This is a generic type, so it knows what type of class to convert the bison into. And we're going to pull this from the high scores database. We're going to ask it to find, and now we're going to get into a lambda expression, and we're going to use u for the basically user, where the user, which is the record, the document, the username. So we're going to say for any u object where the username is equal to the name we entered, we're going to ask it to limit to 1, and we're going to grab a single object from that. Now, this is not 100% safe. Please be aware. You want to make sure that you're going a little bit further when you write this yourself to ensure that there is an object here. We are just asking for 1 at this point in time. If we took off the single here, this would return another collection, and that we've seen up in the top here, and we can use a collection to determine how many are there. We could convert it into a list. It could return back a list of documents, and we can ask it to count the documents. So there are several different ways of dealing with collections overall, but we want to make sure that we're safe here, okay? In our case, we're just going to assume we're going to be good. But moving forward, when you write your own code later on, hint, hint, you're going to want to make sure that you're implementing a safety accessor here. Okay, now I'm going to grab this high score object that was returned, and I'm going to change the score here to be whatever the score was entered in from the user. And we need to now set this object, but the problem is all we've done is we've grabbed a high score itself. and we don't have the collection to actually replace. So what we want to do is we're going to, and we could do this before or after we get the individual. So in this case here, we're just going to put it just afterwards. Going to ask her. We're going to ask for the collection now, and so that collection will be the collection.db.getCollection high score, and which comes from high scores. And technically, we could actually grab this collection and then do something similar. We could say collection.find, and then we could have done what we did up above here. I'm just breaking things up into multi-line steps so that we can see what's going on in the flow a little bit easier. Okay, and now I have my collection. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the collection to replace one. So we're going to replace just one item where I, and this is another lambda expression where the ID, so the index or the element that we're looking at, the ID, is equal to the high score ID. So we're trying to match the unique identifiers, those primary keys. We're going to replace it with the high score. And then we're going to say with the replace options, we have to say new replace options with the is upsert to be true. Okay. That should be all that's needed and required. So let's run the application and see what will happen when we update, and then we'll read the database back again. So let's just read first so that we can see everybody in the database. Let's update. Let's update Bob. Bob has a new score of 250. And if we read, we can see that Bob's score has been updated to 250. So what we've seen is the ability to use the MongoDB to read and update. In the next video, we're going to take a look at SQLite and Mongo inside of Unity and setting up our project and doing the read and update operations.